Hi, this is Rachelle at Scrapcraftastic, and I'm going to be working on setting up my Halloween B6 size traveler's notebook. This is from Cardinal Planners, and I will link to them in the description box below. But I haven't done anything with this because I was torn on how I would use it. My B6 Stalogy does not fit in here properly. It does have 4 elastics, so I can kind of fill it up, even though I did not opt for the wider spine. I just got the standard. So what I was thinking of doing, I want to work on Halloween projects as well as Christmas projects throughout the year, instead of waiting until the last minute and then rushing and not getting them finished. And this has happened to me year after year after year. So, and I always intended to do Christmas throughout the year, but I never tried doing Halloween throughout the year. Christmas somewhat worked out, somewhat didn't. I have quite a few projects that I need to finish. But with that being said, I'm going to set this up as completely for Halloween, and this will be where I keep notes on ideas that I have for Halloween projects. I have already started collecting supplies for these projects. So now I need to start writing down that information, logging my ideas so that I don't forget. And I'm going to put all of that in this traveler's notebook. So I could have just ordered some B6 size notebooks or inserts, but I have plenty of paper. I have printers that I'm paying for ink for, so why not use what I already have? I'm shopping my stash using the paper that I have. So I do have a digital grid and a digital dot grid available in the shop at Scrapcraftastic. I printed quite a few pages front and back of both. So I'm going to make my own inserts for this traveler's notebook, and I'm going to make 2 for now, and I think I'll come back later and make a 3rd. I don't know that I need an envelope insert or a folder insert, but I may make those as well. And I'm saying I'm going to make 2 for now. I may just make the grid for now. We'll see how the time goes. So I also have plenty of scrapbook paper that is unused. I'd actually started a project with this paper, and I'd held off for a couple of years from using it because I need to finish the project, but it doesn't seem to be happening. So I'm just going to go ahead and dig in. This paper is from 2016. It was a Michael's Hot Buy paper pad, and it was not really my style, but I liked it anyway. I don't know why, but it's pretty cool. And now I just need to decide which paper I want to use for my cover. It may be these diagonal stripes, because I want something that really looks nice with the notebook. I love the bats too, and that one's pretty cool. So as you can see, I haven't really used much of this at all because I was saving it to finish that project. I think this one would be a good one, and I have used the other sheet of this. Okay, and then these are just scraps. Okay, so decision. I think I'm gonna go with what I said first, which is this stripe. It's light and airy, and it doesn't overpower the actual Halloween look, but you still get a little of that Halloween traditional color feel. So to begin with, I know that my B6 size, the Americanized size, is a 5x7, and I'm gonna leave the width as is and just fold it over to make pockets, I think. So I think this is the top. Yeah. So I'm gonna trim this down to 7 inches in height, and I'm just gonna go slightly larger, maybe a 1/16 of an inch larger. And so then I'm just going to leave the width, as I mentioned. It's only going to be, it needs to be 10 inches in width, so it's only going to be a little bit wider than it needs to be, like 1 inch on each side. Let's see. So I'm going to fold this in half. I haven't made inserts in so long. I don't even remember how I used to do it. I think this is not how I used to do it, but this is how I'm thinking to do it this time. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I may trim that off because that's not much of a pocket, but I'm going to leave it for now. Let's grab the grid paper. Depending on how you do your binding, if you try to put too many papers in to make the notebook, then you may have an issue when it's time to actually bind it. I have a long arm stapler that I'll be using. It uses standard size staples, so I'm going to keep my page count low. I'm thinking normally I would use 8 pages. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to try and see what happens with this 8 pages. This is I think 24-pound paper, so it's not very heavy, but it's not the thinnest paper either. So it won't create too much bulk, but I would say 8 is the highest that I would go. And that kind of works out because say if you're doing something like a daily journal, then that gives you just enough pages. It gives you 32 pages because one sheet of paper, let's look at that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you take the number of sheets that you use and multiply times 4, that will tell you how many pages you're going to get. So I have 8 sheets. When I fold them in half, that gives me 32 pages. Okay. So that would be perfect for like a monthly situation if you wanted to use a page for each day. Now, if you planned on using the stitching method to bind this, then you could put as many pages as you want. If you plan to leave an open binding, again, you could probably put as many pages as you want. The only reason there is a limit in this case is because I am going to staple them. At least I think I am. I don't know. An open binding is an idea. And I also have some templates on my website to help you line up where you place the staples. When you staple the binding, it is called saddle stitching. So I have saddle stitch templates on the website if you're interested. It seems like traveler's notebooks aren't as big as they were when I first started, and you don't see as much of the DIYs for a traveler's notebook as you used to, but I don't know. I feel like I want to get back into using a traveler's notebook. Okay, so as you can see, this is already, it's going to be too wide, too high. I need to cut these folded pages, and I didn't mention this. I do like to fold my pages individually to get a nice clean fold. When you put the pages together, as you can see right here, you will have page creep, which is each sheet that you add, the thickness of that paper pushes the next page out. So this is, I don't know if it's showing up, but as you can see, the pages aren't exactly even. That's a little page creep. I could actually have cut these down and then folded them to put them in here, but I don't want page creep. So I'm folding it at the larger size first, and then I'm going to go to my heavy duty paper trimmer and chop this down to 5 by 7 with it being folded. If you don't have a heavy duty page trimmer, paper trimmer. You could also use a craft knife. You could use a box cutter. Make sure you use a metal ruler as a guide. When you hold that ruler down, don't put too much pressure and don't try to cut through everything at one time. Use light, repetitive slices with the craft knife or the box cutter to cut the paper, and you'll be fine. So I'm gonna stop here and go and trim this with my heavy duty paper trimmer. So here we go. Now ordinarily you would go ahead and put your cover on before you trim the paper, but I just find it simpler to keep my cover separate for whatever reason. But you will get cleaner cuts if you put the cover on, go ahead and staple it, then do your cutting. I don't know why I didn't do that this time. I just didn't. So now I'm going to have to open this up and make sure that I keep all of my pages together. And then the next one, we're going to do it the right way, I think. Anywho, so I'm just going to take paper clips and clip this in place to hold it. I just want to do something quick and easy, so I'm not going to pull out the templates. I'm going to show you how to actually measure it. If you don't want to measure, then grab your templates from my website at scrapcraftastic.com. And I'll try to remember to link to those in the description box below and try to get everything as straight as possible. That's another reason why you should cut it all at the same time. Then you will get all the same measurements. So I'm going to find the center, and then I'm going to come out to, let's see, how many inches do I want to go? And I'm going to come 2 inches from the center in this case. So 1, 2. So then I'm just going to take my long arm stapler. These are fairly inexpensive. Well, this particular one was fairly inexpensive. I got it on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description box below. If you plan on making your own notebooks, depending on what size they are, you might want to invest in one of these. It makes life a little easier. If not, you can always use one of the staplers that opens up. You just have to put some type of cushioning underneath it to catch the staples, and then you would have to manually close the staples. And I do have videos showing how to do that as well. And again, we may do that on the next insert. So this has a guide where you can put it to the actual width of the notebook and decide so that it'll be lined up where you want to staple it. I don't put a lot of faith in that, but I'm going to put it at, that's not going to work for me this time anyway. It's going to have to go to 6 because my paper is 6 inches wide. Okay, so you can tell I'm so out of practice. So I'm just going to put it at 6, line up my little tick mark kind of in the center of the head of the stapler, and make sure that this is lined up against this guide, and staple. And you want to staple from the outside to the inside so that the closed part of the staple is on the inside of your insert. And we're going to do the same thing down on the other end. Make sure this is butted up against there well, and staple. Okay, so that came out fairly good. I feel lucky. Okay, so now I'm just going to fold this over. See, it's not lined up perfectly at the top because I did not cut them together, but I'm going to use this to burnish. It's not too bad. Then I don't know what I want to do with this excess. I thought it would be enough to make a decent pocket, but it is not. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and trim it off. And I'm going to use, I'll probably be sorry for doing this. I'm going to use this side of my Tim Holtz ruler. It has a metal bar on it. The problem with cutting with a plastic or wood ruler is the blade will cut it and it won't necessarily guide you straight on your paper. You'll end up cutting. I think I need to use my left hand. You'll end up cutting into your ruler and not the paper. So it's best to use a metal ruler as a guide. And again, not too much pressure when you're using a craft knife, even if you're only cutting one piece of paper. You lose control easier when you try to cut too much at one time. And this is crooked, so it is cutting into my paper. Okay, so there is that cover. It's kind of ratty looking because I need a new blade, I think, and I cut too close. Let's try and do this one a little better. Give myself a little more room. And again, oops, nope, wrong side of the ruler. Use the metal side. Line it up. It's still cutting into my paper. And if you start above where your paper starts, like start up here, then you won't have that problem where it didn't cut right there at the very edge of the paper, because I was starting like, or trying to start at the edge of the paper. If you start your cut before the paper and go all the way past the paper, you won't have that problem. Okay, so that is a lesson on cutting the paper with a craft knife. Okay, so it's not perfect. It's handmade and I'm totally out of practice, but I think it came out pretty good. So then I like to open it up and just flatten out all the pages. Make sure everything is everything on the inside, which it should be. It's not like I'm using different papers. What is going on there? That looks strange, but that's just one way to do it. There's countless ways that you can do this. It's just up to you, whatever works easier for you. And again, I'll show another way to do it. I've shown these so many different ways over the years. So you can just pick and choose whichever way works best for you. I'm grabbing like 2 pages at a time now. Okay. So now I know that there's no point in leaving the whole width of the notebook, because the 12 by 12 paper doesn't give enough width for a B6 size to give you good size pockets or tuck spots. So, and there we go. Let's see. I don't know that these notebooks are actually made for a B6. It's very slim and tight, but I guess once it fills up, it'll be fine. But this is a very small B6 notebook. It doesn't leave very much room for overhang. There's no room for extras. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. I'm going to go ahead and make another one because I fumbled my way through that. Let's try it again. So this time I'm going to go ahead and cut all my paper down, which is going to give me page creep, which I don't like, but we're going to do it anyway. So I'm going to use 8 sheets again. This is dot grid that I've printed front and back. It's ready to go. I don't have my cover, but I'll cut it in a moment. So I need this to be 7 inches in height. And it's going to cut a couple of sheets at a time. This is somewhat of a heavy duty paper trimmer. It won't cut as many pages as my other one will, but let's see if we can do 3 at a time. Let's push the limits. I'm going to line it up with 7 and trim. Then we are going to turn it around, line it up at 10. Let's line it up with the side that we know is squared. At 10. And trim. So 3 pages is easy for this paper trimmer. Let's Let's do 3 more. We got our insides ready to go. Everything is cut 7 by 10. The reason we know that the 5 by 7 is 7 inches in height. The reason I cut it at 10 is because we need 5 and 5 for the width, because when you fold it in half, then you get 5. So you double the width. 5 and 5, 10. Okay. Let's find another piece of paper that we want to use. I'm not going to be so particular this time. And I think I'm going to use one of these foil papers. I'm going to use this one. Okay. So let's go ahead and trim this down to 7 inches in height. And then 10 inches in width. And you might want to make it slightly wider just in case. Okay, so then of course you could use your scoreboard to fold this. I'm just going to go ahead and fold it in half and use my bone folder to make the fold. You can use the handle of your scissors, that will work just as well to give you a nice clean fold. Then I'm going to do the same thing. Let's get the scraps out of the way. With these pages, let's go ahead and fold them in half. And again, you don't have to do individual pages like this. That's just the way I like to do it. If I were making multiples of this, I probably wouldn't do, let's do 2 pages. I probably wouldn't do 1 page at a time, but it does make a difference as far as the page creep. It kind of keeps the page creep equal on both ends of the paper, if that makes any sense. Some of this you'll figure out as you go along. You'll notice the difference when you do things a different way. Okay. So 2 sheets seems to be okay. It doesn't throw the page creep off that much. Okay. And again, I probably should staple before I fold, but I don't. So, see, page creep. That's what happens when you cut the paper first and then fold it. You get this little overhang. Now you could always cut your cover a little wider, maybe 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch wider, so that will be covered. But in this instance, since the traveler's notebook is so slim, where the notebook that is actually exactly 5 inches is very close to the edge of the notebook, I wouldn't add any extra to the width of the cover. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure everything is down in the fold like it should be. I'm going to clip the ends on either side like so. You could also use binder clips. That's normally what I would use. I'm going to do the same thing again with my ruler. Find the center. Again, this is not necessary. You can eyeball it if you want to. I can find my ruler. You can eyeball this. I just kind of like things to be the same as much as possible. And then I'm just going to come 2 inches from the center and mark. 2 inches from the center and mark. And take this stapler. Let's use the other stapler. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I'm not going to use my long arm stapler for this one. We are going to use a regular stapler, but it has to be one like this that opens up, because you need to be able to reach. If I left it closed like this, it will not reach to where I need it to reach. If you're using a smaller insert, then it doesn't matter. You don't need one to open. as long as it will fit and reach to the area that you need it to reach to. Now this is a little different. I need this little foam thing. This is actually a kneeling pad for gardening that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I actually cut the handle part off and used that in my to-go craft kit. But let's see, make sure my papers are lined up, because I've been moving this around a bit and it's looking a little wonky. So let's get it right and line up my stapler head the same way and staple through. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. Try to, and staple through. Okay, so when I pull this up, the staples are sticking straight up. They didn't fold over because they went into this. So now I need to take some type of tool. Let's get this out of the way. Some type of tool to close the staple. So I'm gonna use my bone folder. You could probably use a butter knife or the back of your scissors again. That may work. To press those down, try to do it straight, not crooked like me. And you just press those down as tight as possible. Okay. And as flat as possible, because you don't want to get your skin snagged on those. That won't be good. Then we're going to go ahead and close it up. Try to keep it straight. Burnish it down. Now, we still got our page creep going on there. This is a little crooked. Let's adjust. Okay, so now we're going to get rid of the page creep, or at least try. And try not to hack up our notebook. Again, if this doesn't bother you, you can leave that there and just close this up. And just continue on, pop it in your traveler's notebook and go forth and be happy. I don't like it, so I'm going to try and cut it off without making a big mess. So again, light strokes. My ruler is not straight. And actually cutting off these little slithers like this is harder than cutting off a big piece of paper. For some reason, I don't know why, but it is. Okay. Remove the ruler. I think I got it. Okay, and then if your blade isn't as sharp as it needs to be, again, a sharp, fresh blade always makes a huge difference. I'm kind of lazy today and I don't feel like changing my blade, but a sharp blade makes a difference. We didn't do too bad. It's not too wonky. And you can even hit it with a little piece of sandpaper, which you can also get from the Dollar Tree, to smooth it out if you get a few rough edges. So that's our second book, and I think we did that one with very minimal supplies: a stapler, a paper trimmer, a ruler, and a craft knife. So let's pop this one in. So there it is. That's what it looks like from the top. This is what it looks like from the inside. We could put dashboards, folders, anything you want in here. And maybe I'll come back at another time and do a folder, because I kind of want one. So we'll see what happens. But for now, it's ready for me to start taking notes in it, writing down my project plans and all of that good stuff. So I hope you found this video helpful. And let me know in the comments if you've made your own notebooks before, or if you plan on giving this a try in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that little gray bell so that you'll receive notification each time I upload a new video. Be sure to check the community tab and my stories for updates throughout the week. Also check us out over at patreon.com/Scrapcraftastic for exclusive content and digital downloads. Visit my other channel, Journal Life's Journey, for craft videos and junk journals. You can find me across social media at Scrapcraftastic. Visit my website and shop at scrapcraftastic.com. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.